But I tried to pick 4 things that I think are kind of most important. The first is just that career paths are very, very different than they were in the past. There's not so much standard upward and staying within 1 or 2 organizations or even within the same sector. And I think we've only begun to really study those careers because we don't know what's going to happen with them, and it almost takes time for people to develop those careers and then for us to study them. The second one, I think people's priorities in their careers change now. They shift over time, and that's partly because both men and women today have families, and they have, at different times of their lives, they may want to give more emphasis to what's going on at home. We don't understand that. We don't, companies are just beginning to clue into it, to give people options for customized careers or kaleidoscope careers. Is more the idea that at different times people have different values or priorities, and that companies need to adapt to that. But the third one is about relationships and how important relationships are in careers. And I think we've tended to focus more on things like mentors, and that it's just going to broaden a whole lot more. The fourth thing is global careers. There's been a lot on expat careers, but really people move across borders more and more in their work, whether it's virtual or literal movement, and I think we have a lot to learn about that. That whole period of research in my career was about new careers stemming from the increase in women in professions and in management in organizations, and the resulting shifting dynamics in family life. So I decided I would study 60 women at 3 different ages, 50s, 40s, and 30s. And they all had to be professional women. They could be anything from journalists to doctors, lawyers, engineers, managers. And interview them about how do you manage career and family? How do you maintain a high level of commitment to both of those things? The one thing that really struck me was that I ran across, stumbled on really, women who had negotiated working less for a period of time. Again, these are accountants, doctors, lawyers. We think of part-time as low-paid, low-status work, not demanding. This wasn't part-time. I know some people refer to it as part. I talked about it as reduced-load work because I think it needed a different name. So I interviewed those, and that was my next study, those people who had all done what I called reduced-load. To be in the study, they also had to have a boss, a spouse, coworker, and an HR person willing to be interviewed. So we had kind of a 360-degree research design. One of the findings that was so unique is that of the 80, I guess it was about 80 women finally, about a third of them had already been promoted while working reduced load. And this was a shock to everyone because the idea is kind of, hey, if you do this, okay, fine, but guess what's happening to your career? It's in the trash. And that's not true. One of the things that I was passionate about was, organizations have to change, society has to change. What we're seeing here is a huge demographic shift, and the old idea that, men are the ones in those roles and the wife is at home, it's just not a reality. And so we need to do research that will give organizations more knowledge. It was quite thrilling to feel that you had discovered some things about this phenomenon that was happening, that wasn't getting talked about much, and yet it was working very well for most of the people in our study. So that was very satisfying, and I think organizations learned from us, we learned from them. I gave some, talks at conference board things, meetings, and in the States as well, to try to share with HR people that, hey, maybe your company is not yet on board here, but you better think about it.